intlx Solutions, founded by engineers valued for our expertise. Let's learn how to replace a failed SBC. We have a problem. One of our SBCs and our HA pair has failed, and we need to replace it ASAP. And the process is pretty simple. So let's get this system back up and running. We can see here that my SBC is in a failed state, and that is because it is powered off. But for the purpose of this exercise, let's pretend that it's unrecoverable. If I log into my EMS, then choose Device Management, I can see that my secondary SBC at 192.168.2.128 is down. So let's get this SBC back online. To get started on the replacement, we need to determine the version of software that the SBC is currently at, and we'll do this from the command line of the healthy SBC. Using the ipcs-version command, I can see that my version is 19809 and I'm sitting on hotfix 21398. We'll determine the hotfix number when we review the data on the support.avaya website. To do this, we go to the download section of the support.avaya website, type in our product and version, then I search for the version number 19809. Let's take a look at hotfix 7 because I think that's where we are, and there it is. Version 21398 corresponds to hotfix number 7. I'll download that hotfix and grab our MD5 sum information. Now, I already had the 19809 OVA downloaded from my initial installation, so I'm ready to get started with deploying the SBC using vCenter. I'll do this by right-clicking on one of my hosts, then choose Deploy OVF Template. Select the SBC OVA, then choose Next. Give the new SBC VM a good name. I'll call mine HA_ASBC2R, where in my mind the R stands for replacement. I'll be using my second ESXi host for compute resources. Then we want to accept the end user license agreement. For the deployment configuration, choose SBC. Then select the appropriate disk format. This is just a lab, so I'm going to use thin deployment. Select the networks as they map out to each interface. If you're unsure of the interface mappings, you can map out the MAC address in the command line of the healthy SBC. Then determine the networks as they tie into the virtual machine settings inside of the vCenter to get an idea of how the new interfaces should be set up. If you're unsure on this procedure, check out my video on setting up an Avaya Session Border Controller remote worker. Then skip to the 4-minute 46-second section of the video. Next, the wizard is going to ask you for some SBC configuration data, including hostname, the appliance type, network passphrase used for EMS to SBC authentication, IP addressing, and most of the normal things the system requires to get the device connected to the network. With all of those details filled out, we complete the wizard and the installation proceeds without any further intervention. Alright, our SBC is now fully deployed and I've taken the liberty of powering it on. The first thing we need to do is get that hotfix applied to the SBC. I'll start by using WinSCP and will transfer my hotfix to the home IPCS directory. Then moving back over to the SBC, we need to elevate our login to root. Then change directories to home IPCS because that's where we staged our file. Then a quick MD5 sum check reveals that our file isn't corrupted. Always important, make sure you do that. Next, using the following command, unpack our hotfix. And if we do an ls, we can see that there is now a new directory matching the hotfix version we're seeking to install. Let's cd to this directory or change directory. Then issue the following command to stop our SBC services. Once the services have stopped, execute this command sh install_hotfix.sh, then hit enter. We're going to wait for this hotfix to install, and once it's completed, we're going to run the following command to reboot our SBC. We're now only 2 steps away from recovering the SBC, the first of which is adding our new SBC to the device management pane within the EMS. From the device management, we simply hit add, type in a name, and the management IP of the SBC. Then choose Finish. After a few minutes, the new SBC registers to the EMS. The second step is to choose Swap Device. Select the SBC that has failed, then choose Next. After a few moments, the swap completes and the new SBC takes over the failed SBC, and we can see that 192.168.2.129 is now in a commissioned state as the secondary SBC. Now, you could leave things as is using the SBC with a new management IP address, or you could change the IP address back to the original IP address. To do this, log into the new SBC. As root, use the SBC configurator script with a change IP gateway mask option. Put in the new IP address, gateway, and subnet, then hit enter. The system applies the changes, then reboots. Next, we need to log into the EMS and then elevate to root. Using the same exact script that was used on the SBC, except with a change-SBCE-IP option, put in the old IP address, then the new IP address, and the script updates the database. And if we log back into the EMS device management section again, we can see that the system is set with the original IP address.
intlx Solutions, empowering people, connecting businesses.